What's up guys, Sagi here and welcome to another Tech Gear Talk. Today we're going to talk about why the 8th generation iPad is the best value when it comes to tablets in 2020. I typically use my current iPad to watch YouTube, browse the web, answer email, maybe do Skype and Zoom calls, but things are about to change and this iPad is only the first step. Alright, so let's quickly get this thing out of the box. I have the 128 iPad 8th generation, Wi-Fi only. I didn't get the cell phone model because I don't really see myself using this particular device where I would actually need cell service. Never wants to come out of the box. Never. Oh, here we go. All right, we'll get that. We'll put that over here for right now. We've got, let's see what's in here. I'm sure this is the best part of the video. We got all these docs, some quick start guide, and of course we got these stickers. We have a USB-C to Lightning cable, so USB-C, good. Lightning, not as good. I've had the worst luck with lightning cables, so they never last for more than about 3 months for me. And the only one that I've had one that worked. It's from NOMAD. It's like Kevlar. It's pretty expensive. I think it's like 35 bucks or 40 bucks, but it's literally the only one that's lasted. So I may need to pick up a USB-C to Lightning cable from them if they have one. I'm gonna go check that out. We're also getting a 20 watt USB-C power adapter rather than the 18 watt that came with the iPhone 11 Pro and the 3rd and 4th generation iPad Pro 12.9 inch. I like that Apple is still including an adapter. I know they're gonna remove it from some of the higher end models, but according to Apple, over half of iPad users are getting their very first iPad rather than upgrading. And I can see not wanting to pay extra for this power adapter. All right, now for the obligatory ASMR segment. Well, it looks like the front kind of looks like my previous iPad, and up until now I've used my iPad Air 2, which I think I bought in like 2014, and this is remarkably similar at first glance. We've got the 8 megapixel front facing camera, we've got a headphone jack, and I was pretty surprised that I was still getting a headphone jack, but I actually appreciate having it. There are times when we're driving and the kids want to watch a movie, and it's great to be able to attach a splitter, then they can each have their own pair of headphones while they're watching the same movie. And on the bottom, we have 2 speakers and a Lightning port. Of course, I'd rather have USB-C, but I guess they're keeping Lightning for this entry-level model. We still have Touch ID, which is great, especially with what's going on right now. And I go back and forth between whether I like Touch ID or Face ID. Even before we were all wearing masks, I think for me, it was always about how I use the particular device. So for example, with my iPhone, I'm more likely to be using it outside while wearing gloves, especially as it's getting colder now. So Face ID has worked great until recently. And with the iPad, I don't really see myself using it outside while wearing gloves. So I think that I would prefer Touch ID in this particular case. And I'm very excited to see the Touch ID on the new iPad Air's power button. Now moving on the side here, we see the connection to the smart keyboard, which I'll talk about in a minute. Now looking at the display, it's got a slightly larger 10.2 inch Retina display, which is absolutely brilliant. It's 2160 by 1620 pixels, 500 nits in terms of brightness, and the colors really pop. I don't know if you could see the difference in the video between the iPad 8 and my old iPad Air 2, but I'll do my best to show it. And I can't wait to watch movies, YouTube, and I'm especially excited about starting to edit some photos. Now, of course, this new iPad is compatible with the Apple Pencil, which should open the door to some fun options that you'll see me cover in the more detailed review and in future videos. Now this is the original 1st generation pencil, so you could still do this, but when you let go, it's gonna fall, so don't do that. On the front of the iPad, we see the front-facing camera, and let's take a second to discuss these cameras. Like, if you've watched my videos, you know that I love cameras, so I would want better cameras just because I would always want better cameras. But For $329 for the 32GB model or $429 for the 128GB model, it's kind of hard to complain, but let's see what we actually get. So the rear-facing camera has an 8-megapixel sensor, an f2.4 aperture lens. It could do HDR for photos. It has image stabilization, can record 1080p at 30 frames per second, and slow motion at 720p at 120 frames per second. And that's all I'm gonna say about that one because I don't wanna put everyone who's not into photography or video to sleep. But if you wanna see more about it, like I said, I've got more videos coming. Now, the front-facing camera, or the FaceTime camera, is a 1.2 megapixel, again, f2.4, 720p resolution for video, and it kind of hurts to say that, but again, to be fair, price point. Now, Apple's marketing slogan is that it has the power of a computer and the portability of iPad. And behind this power is the A12 Bionic chip that I have on my iPhone XS. And for the price point of this iPad, what we're getting is ridiculous performance. If we wanted to, we could look at the specs, talk about the powerful CPU, which is 40% faster than the 7th generation iPad, and with twice the graphics capabilities. But really, for me, the proof will be in the actual performance rather than just looking at benchmarks. I want to see what it's like to edit high-res photos, maybe do some video editing, playing games, and then putting this inexpensive yet surprisingly versatile and powerful iPad through its paces. Now keep in mind that it's not the A14 chip that Apple is incorporating into the soon-to-be released iPad Air 4, but we are getting a Neural Engine on an entry-level iPad for the very first time. Now, looking at competing devices like Windows laptops, Android tablets, and Chromebooks, the 8th generation iPad seems to be leading the pack in terms of processing power. And it'll be interesting to see what type of performance this next level machine learning can offer to someone on a budget. And you may at first think, like, I don't actually need all this power, but the nice thing here is that a lot of people are going to get more than what they need without spending more money. And that's a really good sign in terms of the longevity of the device. You're not paying a premium for performance you don't need, and at the same time, as new updates are released and more powerful and demanding apps are developed, you're much less likely to need to upgrade. And for those of you who already plan to push this thing to the limits, it's a real bargain in terms of performance. Now, in addition to the Apple Pencil, I picked up a couple of accessories. I got the Lightning to SD card reader so that I can quickly transfer image and video files to the iPad. And I also got the Lightning to USB 3 camera adapter in case I want to connect the camera directly to the iPad. And I have a few other uses in mind, which I'll share with you in the future. There was one accessory that I wasn't sure about. I almost picked up the smart keyboard, but I wasn't 100% convinced that I'll use it with this model. And I probably will get one with the iPad Air next month. Now, if you're already using a smart keyboard, let me know what you think and whether it's something that I should try. Now, ultimately, I will need to get a case anyway, so maybe a smart keyboard is a good option. I can definitely see getting the Magic Keyboard for the iPad Pro because of the integrated trackpad, but if I wanted that functionality here, I'd have to get the Magic Trackpad too, but I just don't see myself wanting to keep track of a separate item, at least for what I'll be doing with this iPad. Now, another option would be to get the Logitech Combo Touch keyboard case with trackpad, which will work on this iPad, but we'll see what I end up deciding. And by the way, if you have any other must-have accessories for this iPad, please share them with me in the comments. Now, moving on, the 8th generation iPad is the first device that shipped out with iPad OS. To pair the Pencil with the iPad, you simply plug it into the Lightning port at the bottom, and it should bring up a prompt. Just follow the steps and you're good to go. We also have a new feature called Scribble, which will let you write on the screen using the Apple Pencil, and the iPad will convert that into text. And if you need to delete a word, you can just cross it out and it will be removed. And I think the Pencil is a super organic way to interact with the iPad. I know that Christy uses her Apple Pencil with her iPad Pro all the time, and it sort of becomes second nature to interact with the device using your hand and the pencil. Now again, we're using the 1st generation Pencil, but we're still getting pressure sensitivity and tilt, as well as fairly low latency. Not as low as with the 2nd and a higher end iPad, but low enough to where I think the average user wouldn't notice a difference. Now, of course, the newer model Pencil has other advantages, but that's for a future video. And the more I think about it, if you plan on using this as your main device, you will want some sort of keyboard. You can get by with typing with the on-screen keyboard, but anything beyond a few lines for an email, and you're likely to move to a device that does have a dedicated keyboard. All in all, I think that the 8th generation iPad is an excellent entry-level tablet. Comes in 3 colors, space gray, silver, which is the one I got, and gold. If you're looking at 32 gigabytes of storage for the base model, it's $329 for the Wi-Fi only, $459 for the Wi-Fi plus cellular model. Or if you want to upgrade like I did to 128 gigabyte of storage because I'm going to do some photo editing, then you're looking at the Wi-Fi only version for $429 and the Wi-Fi plus cellular version for $559. I opted for the Wi-Fi only model because I'll mostly be using this iPad at home or where Wi-Fi is available. And worst case scenario, I can always tether off of my iPhone. Like I said in the beginning, I think this iPad represents a fantastic value, probably the best that you can get at this time. The performance that you're getting with the A12 Bionic chip, the beautiful 10.2-inch Retina display, iPadOS 14, compatibility with Smart Keyboard and the Apple Pencil, great battery life, along with features we'll discuss in future videos like augmented reality, make this iPad an excellent option if you're looking to get into the Apple iPad ecosystem. Now I'm curious to know what you think. Is this 8th generation iPad a device that you would consider getting? And then why or why not? I really hope that I was able to give you a good overview of the new iPad. If I did, please give this video a thumbs up, tweet it, share it, and if you haven't yet, join the community by hitting the subscribe and notification buttons. You can always find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Tech Gear Talk. You know what I always say, buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.